for so whole week. Ready? Call the meeting to order, and I guess Mr. Holliday is going to call the roll.
I will. Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Heil?
Here.
Ms. Bemis? Abby, you're muted. It looks like.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Abby, you're muted.
Abby was here.
Looks that way.
All right, well, we think Abby's here.
I think we can attest that Abby was present as of about 30 seconds ago. I'll see if she votes.
I don't know, did she respond back? I can't hear.
No, she did not. Is she having technical issues again?
Sound is coming in and out.
If she's just across the street, let's get a megaphone and yell at it. The next time I go is in June.
Okay. Abby, can you hear us now?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's fixed. Sorry about that.
Okay. Did she respond to you?
Yes.
Okay, so I called the meeting together. We've got the roll call of everybody. And then, is there any specific conflicts that you wish to report? Again, I guess, that's why I was taught, okay? And if you want me to do something different, I will.
Oh, I don't, what are we reporting conflicts on, I guess? I don't know.
I know that we've got at least one conflict here.
I have two.
Okay.
For Schmidt and Berardi,
Schmidt, we're going to table.
then just one.
So Sandusky Muscle Therapy, I have a conflict on, wanna put that out front.
So that leaves 3 voting members for that one. Is that
Okay, so at
right?
least we'll be.
So good
okay.
there.
Okay, so first thing is approval of the March 8th, 22 minutes. Can I have a motion?
I reviewed the minutes and would make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second. Discussion, not all in favor. Do you want to call a roll every vote, or how do you, I was told that you wanted to do some things differently, and I'm okay with however you want to do it. Or voice, okay.
For the minutes, I have no problem with a voice vote, but for all of our, when we're dispersing money, we should always call the roll.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I want to know the rules ahead of time, okay? So, all in favor of this approval of the March 8th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
First thing, then we will have the program financial update.
All right, Mr. Chairman, happy to give the financial update. So far this year, we have approved 6 projects through the Economic Development Fund totaling $150,000. One of those is still waiting on City Commission approval. That's Bait House Brewery. I'll point out that our approved grants this year include grants to Tambo Entertainment LLC for their Clubhouse Number 3 project. That restaurant bar, or I'm sorry, that sports club bar opened about a week ago. They're on Water Street. It's a really great addition to the city. So folks, I encourage you to check it out. The Tamburinos really did an excellent job, and I'm glad that our program was able to help bring that space back.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Very great, great job on their part. And so we've got a good collection of grants so far this year totaling $150,000. You'll see in our fund balance that we started the year with $648,000. We do have to account for the expected second payment to Small City Tap House and the $150,000 that we've already committed this year, which leaves us a fund balance uncommitted at this time of just over $350,000.
The only question I have is the Bait House Brewery. Didn't we have to table that because we felt they weren't going? Paul, I'm trying to remember what you had the question about that one because they really hadn't started the project.
No, that's Crimus building, I think, right?
Crimus was tabled, and I believe we also have paused on Pipe Creek
Pipe
Wharf
Creek.
project.
Yeah, Pipe
Okay,
Creek.
and I just want to make sure that I thought we had done that in the Bait House. Sometimes doing things from memory is not the easiest thing in the world. So, with that, next one we have is the Polish Schmidt. Now, I understand, Mr. Holliday, that you wish to have that tabled?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that we table the Polish Schmidt application till our next meeting. We're looking at a few items internally with regard to that application.
Okay. And then the one after that is the Saucy Brew Works of Sandusky LLC.
That's correct, and I'm prepared to talk about our first application, Sandusky Massotherapy LLC, if you'd like.
What did I go right past that one? I went faster than, yes, I'm sorry.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, I'm moving my iPad a little faster than my eyes are going. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Our first application today comes from Sandusky Massotherapy LLC. Our applicant is Maria Berardi. Ms. Berardi founded Sandusky Massotherapy about 27 years ago. It was originally located on Columbus Avenue, but due to its increasing size, it needed to relocate and has identified the property at 521 West Perkins Avenue. For their new location, they're going to occupy about 2/3 of that space. They're going to rent about 1/3 of that space to an existing hair salon. This is a really great expansion because it allows Sandusky Massotherapy to remain in the city, but also add new services and also hire more employees. They have two parts of their project here, an interior renovation and an exterior renovation. Our grant at this time is focused on the exterior renovation costs. That work includes new signage, awnings, planter boxes, and landscaping. The estimated cost of the exterior improvements is $30,000. Ms. Berardi requested $10,000 from the Economic Development Fund. I had initially recommended a grant in the amount of $8,000, but I understand those costs are coming in higher than expected. We'll certainly verify that before we release the funding, but if it's the committee's will to grant Ms. Berardi the full $10,000, I would have absolutely no objection. This is a great company. It's really fantastic to see them staying in the city, investing in the city, and particularly doing these great improvements along one of our major corridors. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Mr. Law Director, you Chair and Vice Chair both have to abstain. So we're supposed to ask for the ballot. And we're going to have to vote on it, okay?
Right.
The two of us both have to abstain.
Right. I mean, calling the roll is not participating in discussion or,
Well, usually somebody, the chair, says, I make a motion, okay.
sure. I mean, someone else can make that motion if, as necessary.
Make a motion to,
I guess I have a question. What is the actual request for? Is it for 8 or 10?
Ms. Berardi's request was for 10. My initial recommendation was for 8, given the size of the project. However, as I mentioned, I'm hearing that those costs are coming in more. So I think providing the grant in the full amount that she requested, $10,000, would certainly be in line with our past practices.
I would move to approve a grant in the amount of $10,000 for the project.
to make a motion to approve the grant in the amount of $10,000 for
So if
the.
he's making.
I made the motion, so.
Oh, you made it?
Second,
Second,
yeah.
okay.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Holliday, would you
You get
please
paid the
take the
same.
roll?
Certainly.
Is there any other questions, though?
Sorry?
Does anybody have any other questions before we call roll? Or comments?
Just in terms of, reading through the project description, is the salon, did that already exist in the space? Or is this another business that they're going to bring in to occupy that space?
No, I believe the salon had already existed at that location.
Okay.
All right.
Call the roll.
Hearing no other questions, I'll call the roll. Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Abstain.
Mr. Nichols,
Abstain.
Mr. Heil,
Yes.
Ms. Bemis.
Am I voting, Jonathan?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Approved.
Can you not hear us, Abby?
I can hear the discussion. I didn't hear anything about changing to my voting status.
You were approved last night at City Commission.
Oh, very good. Well,
I
I
guess
like
we
it.
just,
And I'm
well, first of all,
gonna vote for it.
congratulations, Abby. Welcome to the voting side of the table.
woohoo!
Your pay will remain the same.
Dang it. That was misleading. Yes, approved.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
the roll's been called, and we've approved the Sandusky Mental Therapy grant of $10,000.
Our next application comes from Saucy Brewworks Sandusky LLC. Saucy Brewworks is a company with multiple locations. The umbrella company here, Saucy Brewworks, is owned by over 65 individuals, but the principal owners include Mr. Brent Zimmerman, Paul Hubbard, Matt Schubeck, and Eric Anderson. As I think everyone on the committee is aware, tragically, Zinc and Boomtown closed due to the unexpected death of the owner recently. But fortunately, Saucy Brewworks, led by Mr. Zimmerman, has negotiated a lease to move into that location and revive that space as one of our local destination locations for food and coffee, and now craft beer. So Saucy Brewworks anticipates employing 18 individuals at this location. They're going to rebrand the space as a Saucy Brewworks and coffee shop. The project is going to entail a major investment at that location. The total project cost is at just over $250,000. This consists of over $80,000 of construction, $40,000 of signage, $55,000 of interior equipment, including a cooler, draft beer system, payment system, and other brewing equipment. There are some soft costs involved and also working capital totaling over $250,000 for the total project costs. The funding for the project is a combination of owner equity and private lending, and I'm recommending a grant from the city in the amount of $47,500 towards the project. This is really a key location within our downtown. The unfortunate passing of the former owner of Zinc and Boomtown really caused a lot of uncertainty, but it's great to see that Saucy Brewworks has stepped up. Brent Zimmerman and his team have done a really great job here in town so far, having recently completed a major investment in and renovation of the transient rental, short-term rental building on Washington Street. So they've really proven that they can do large-scale projects here in town. Saucy Brewworks is a successful operation in other cities, and I'm really excited that we're going to have them here in Sandusky this summer. So appreciate your support in advance, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, I assume that Cienza Vista is one of the banks. You're not one of the loan officers.
I'm not, nope.
I just want to get that on the record.
Yep.
I have a real question in regards to the second phase of the project. Now, will this assistance be part of that, or will they look to come back?
I do anticipate another request for funding, for grant funding for their second phase. That phase has not yet been finalized in terms of what the scope will be, but I know that the company is looking at a major exterior expansion, including a patio, beer garden type feature. With the costs of that being uncertain at this time and the designs not being finalized, they've not included that in this request, but I do anticipate that they will reapply for that phase of the project in the future.
I don't know, being new, I don't know if you know any of the history of it at all.
Of the space?
Yeah, space.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
familiar with it.
Okay, I just was gonna fill you in if you didn't know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. I've met some individuals down there for some meetings, the coffee shop side of things, and then in the restaurant too. So bringing this brand in, I think, will be a great addition to the downtown market as a whole. And it will be continuing the momentum, moving in the right direction.
And
For
the
the
dollar
city.
amount again was, Jonathan?
47,500. 47,500 is the grant request. 250 is the project. My thoughts when I look at those numbers, I don't think that we're in the business here of financing inventory and working capital. I think that's a slippery slope if we include those. I mean, because you could take a $10,000 popsicle stand and they could say they need 500,000 in working capital. I mean, there's no limit to what you say you need for working capital. So I'm a little nervous that those numbers are in there. The soft cost too, I'm not a fan of the soft costs being in there, which essentially accounts for 75,000 of the 250, but which, that being said, I think the 47 is probably a little high on the grant number for me.
Yeah, again, I would echo what Paul said. The inventory and working capital bothers me. I don't think that's what we were set up for. I think we were to help, if it cost you $50 for the window and they only got 25, it's to help you buy that window. Something, I call it tangible.
What else are you including in the soft costs?
I would consider soft cost inventory and working capital.
Right, no, I thought there was something beyond the inventory and working capital.
The soft costs, I think, are architectural fees, designs,
Thank you.
licenses, things like that, is what they list there, but.
Although sometimes we don't see that broken out from the construction cost.
Yeah.
Like that is part of building the. So even at, if you take out the inventory and working capital, which I agree with Paul on this, it's still 47 out of a $200,000 project, which is about a quarter of the project. I mean, I don't really have a problem with the ask for how we normally evaluate those things. That's still a sizable minority of the amount of the project. It's revamping a bunch of buildings that have, unfortunately shuttered and bringing some vibrancy to that block. So I think I'm leaning towards being okay with it, since the project itself is so much larger than
Even if you took the inventory working capital out of there,
it's still a $200,000
So-
project.
You're still
Even if you
within-
take both out, if you take soft costs, inventory, and working capital, it's still 175. 25% of that is still
I mean, that's what I'm
43,000,
saying.
something like that, right?
you see people without a calculator figured that one out too.
I did the calculator while you guys were talking. But thanks for being impressed.
I think you heard the opinion. I think even with those items taken out and Mr. Cook practicing accounting,
And Mr. Chairman, I'll just add that I think that feedback's real helpful, and at this level that we're discussing, this will have to go to city commission. So I think it's really important to have the recommendation of the committee. So if you're inclined to make a motion for an amount, I would definitely encourage you to do that, and then I'll be happy to take that to city commission with the body's
again, the
recommendation.
amount, again, I don't have a piece of paper, I didn't write it down.
47.5?
47,500.
I'll make it, want to make a motion or?
I would move that we would approve the grant in the recommended amount of $47,500.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the 47,500. And even with those soft costs taken out of there, we're still within our guidelines, correct? No. We got a motion and a second. Should take the roll.
All right. Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Heil,
Yes.
Ms. Bemis.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
The only thing I would add, Jonathan, is when you take that to committee, I would prefer you to show that 75 in a like in a footnote or something. So show 175. So then that way, future applicants don't come back and say, well, you gave them inventory or working capital. You know, it's clear that we did not consider that.
I agree with that. Just, if you segregate it, then somebody can't come back and say, you did that. Again, the minutes should reflect that we've removed that and it still falls within the guidelines.
Jonathan,
Will
just a comment on that. I know we had some discussion at the last meeting about whether building acquisition costs should be included in a project scope as well. Maybe long-term, we need to develop some sort of template that we're providing to people as to what we're considering a part of the scope of the project, just to make it clear each time.
And to that point, I think it's even if we're not like considering, you know, say you bought that for, say, 400, we're not factoring that into the percentage we're giving, but it's good to know the total investment into the project, because I'm sure he's got more than 250 into it. In all these projects today, I'm sure Maria paid something for her building and Schmid paid something for his building too. So I think it's good to show that their commitment to the city is more, like Zimmerman's commitment to the city is more than 250. It might be 650 or 750. Even if that's bank financing, I mean, they're on the hook to pay that back, so it's their name is on it, so.
Okay, we took the roll call. It was approved and you'll take it to the city commission due to its size.
Point of order, Mr. Commissioner. Can we consider the third request under a motion? I believe there's a recommendation to table one of them, but we actually haven't taken any action on it.
I didn't quite hear what you,
The third pending agenda item, we haven't taken any action on, but I believe there's a recommendation to table it from staff, and that would still require a motion and a vote by this committee.
okay. That's why we got you here.
Happy to be here.
Can I have a motion to table?
I'll disclose that I have a conflict with this one too.
I would move that we would table that for one meeting.
Second.
Second? Take the roll.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Abstain?
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Heil,
Yes.
Ms. Bemis.
Yes.
It's always nice to have somebody keep us in line.
I do what I can.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else that they want to bring up? Hang on, Sharon, I haven't forgotten you. Does anybody got anything else they want to bring up before I go to the public participation?
I just had a question, Jonathan. When you were talking about the massotherapy application, you mentioned we were just focusing on their exterior. Will they be applying for the interior improvements, or were they not interested in that?
I do anticipate that she'll apply for the interior. There was a bit of a timing delay with us having to table this at the last meeting. So I know that they've made quite a bit of progress on their project, but I will follow up with her. And yes, I do anticipate that they'll also make a request for interior, for assistance with the interior portion of the project.
Very good. Thank you.
Anything else from any committee members before I turn it over to the public? If not-
I would,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Paul.
being Marcus's first meeting, and I've never met Marcus, like maybe an introduction or some background would be awesome for,
Thank you.
You got
I heard you were
2
Justin's
minutes.
cousin. so-
You don't get your 15 minutes of fame.
Take
Oh,
your time.
goodness. Yes, Marcus Harris, Diversity and Economic Opportunity Manager for the city of Sandusky. Joined the city September 2021. I am Sandusky native and Justin's cousin.
You leave it, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited. Jonathan asked me to serve as his designee on this particular body, and I am excited to do so. Economic development, been in workforce development in Cleveland for the past 4 years. Part of that in dealing with helping young people build their businesses, develop and build and scale their businesses. So I'm excited about this particular opportunity to serve in this capacity.
Great, good to have you.
Yes. And Abby, again, congratulations on your conscription to the committee.
Big day, an honor to serve with all.
Well, Lincoln, that's what Lincoln used in his address. It wasn't called draft, it was called, his last history lesson I have. Anybody, again, from the committee have anything? If not, Sharon.
Yeah, I have several things on each one of these grants. First of all, Abby voting, I don't know if that was researched legally because she was ex officio and now she's voting. She has she has a contract with the city. And she's
My
director.
understanding, Mr. Solicitor, that she was voted on by the city commission last night?
Correct.
To renew, as ex officio, I thought.
No, she was appointed to replace the vacant position last night by City Commission.
But she holds a contract with the city and she's voting, I don't understand that. If she holds a contract with the city, she's getting a salary paid by the city and she's sitting in on this group here. She's also director of the Port Authority and the director of ECADEC.
I believe some of that is correct.
And so some of those things she is bringing to this table, she could have brokered as the director of Port Authority and ECADEC. And then she comes here to vote on a grant for one of her projects.
I would hope
Possibly.
that Abby would be savvy enough to do the same thing that Paul and myself do, that if there is something that she was involved in, that she would abstain. Abby, would you agree with my comment?
I would certainly disclose those that we've worked with. I'd also comment that my employment is a little bit different than some professional services in that my compensation is in no way tied to project procurement or a percentage of projects that we've worked on. I essentially don't work on a fee basis. Our organization holds a service level agreement with the city of Sandusky. I do not personally.
That, I will say, I've worked with Abby on several things. I have no doubt or hesitation about her character or her professionalism, so I
None
have zero concern. Happy to have her.
I agree.
I was only pointing out that she would do the same thing that you and I have done.
Yeah.
No, sir.
I was not commenting on her professionalism. I know all of you would, hopefully, if you have a conflict, you will say that. But for the fact, I thought I had read in some paperwork a long time ago that if you held a grant, she's being paid $30,000. That's part of her salary that the city pays to her. And then she comes to this table and works on behalf of the city voting on these grants. That doesn't seem right. And I'm just wondering if that was legally researched. That's all I have to say on that. Also, I want to go on to these other grants here. On massotherapy, I did not see in any of your documents any construction estimates, especially the sign that she had. There in the guidelines is a checklist of some of the paperwork they have to have checked. Okay, these are your guideline checkbook, the things that they have to have in order to be approved for a grant. There's nothing checked here, nothing. There's no third-party cost estimates. Who's doing the sign? Does anybody know? Those documents from the vendor are missing. So in order to calculate the sign cost, you have to have the estimate. Where is it? Do we have that?
I do have a copy of of the sign estimate in the file. Yes, I do.
Who's doing the sign?
The proposal for the sign came from Brady Signs.
Brady Signs?
Can I interject here? Sharon, do you have a number of comments? So perhaps you could get through all of them. This isn't really a Q&A session. It's.
Well, that's what you say.
No.
But you're only one
Sharon,
part of this
Sharon,
committee.
I'm just suggesting that, you said you had a number of comments. We'd like to hear them all. Now's the time. But it's not a question and answer session with our staff. And so if you'd like to.
The whole committee has to agree on
If you
that?
would like to ask those questions, to the extent that someone decides to answer them, that's fine. To the extent that someone gets back to you, that's also fine. But it would be helpful to move things along to get through all of your public comments in an expedient manner.
Okay. He's right. It's Brady Signs. She shouldn't be getting this grant, okay? And that should have been handed in before this was approved, this grant was approved. That's why I do not like backloading this information, because it's not out in the public, it's not transparent, and now you've got to reject that or back that out of there. I don't know if he's doing the whole facade, if he's doing the whole outside, or just the sign. Brady, that's not fair. That is not fair. You're covering for the city commissioner. Now, the second one is Saucy Brew Works. In order to calculate the signage and the grant here, you have to have the signage in here. Well, he's got a sign cost of $40,000. Where's the vendor? Where's the vendor's estimate? You're rubber stamping these grants. There's no estimate in the paperwork. $40,000 for a sign? Who's doing the sign? The other one that you tabled, that's another Brady sign. All three of these have Brady's hand in this. Shame on you people. I'm disgusted with that. That's why you shouldn't be backloading these documents. They should be up front here. And if they don't have all their act together, they don't get a grant approved. That's all I have to say. I'm just disgusted with this. And you, as an attorney, sit here and let that happen.
Ma'am, do you have any more public comments?
That's it. I'm done.
Thank you very much for those wildly inaccurate comments, but this committee does its job, does it correctly, and all of the documents that we get are public records, that are public, the ones that are public records, so there's plenty of transparency. But we do appreciate your comments and your opinion as to how you would approve and disapprove grants, at least from my personal view of those comments.
Anything else, Sharon?
No.
Remind everybody that we have another meeting May 10th.
Correct.
Okay. We had discussed, but because one person couldn't meet until 2 o'clock, about going back to 1:30. What's the committee's feeling? 2 o'clock messes my afternoon up.
As long as it doesn't conflict with other boards and commission meetings, I believe staff is pretty flexible. I don't want to speak, I shouldn't speak for all of us.
No, I have no issues with that.
What time did you want to move it to?
Do you want to move it?
Back to the 1:30 meeting.
Oh, 1:30, yeah, that's fine.
And that way I can have lunch and then just come on over and, hey,
Perfect. Love it.
well, that also, at 2 o'clock, one of the other meetings that I attend at the institution you work.
I know.
If it's a problem, again, if the meeting that I have to attend at either at the hospital or the bank, I'll just have to, have Mr. Cook take care of the meeting.
Let's move it to 1:30 to be safe.
No issues here, yeah.
Everybody wants to have his meetings. I think I got one tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the first time. I said, at what time? First of all, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so 10 o'clock is not a problem. If not, I would take a motion for adjournment.
So moved?
Moved.
Do we need,
No.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.